Someone left a comment on my Famicom collection video asking about Sansara Naga. So in this video I'm going to give an overview of the game and what you do in it and what it's all about. Oh, actually that's the final dungeon. There's 2 save files, so I recommend you have one save file in a safe place like a town, and the other one for when you're out and about. This one should be in the case of the town. So if I go out to the overworld, you can see my dragon there, that white thing that follows behind me. Initially, I think the dragon is green. It's been a couple of years since I played this game, so I don't remember everything. But eventually your dragon will change color as it develops into one of several different personality types. I don't want to spoil exactly what happens, but basically you raise your dragon up to a certain point, and then there's an event, and after that event your dragon will permanently be a certain type. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but for now let's just go around this town. This is like the central town. It's in the center of the world map, and this is like the first place you need to get to, because right here is the nursery. Ma konnichiwa, Reina-chan wa o genki desu ka? Reina is the name of my dragon, and this is the nursery. When you first hatch your dragon from an egg, it's just a baby, and you can't take it along with you. So you have to bring it here until it grows big enough. And while it's here, you can come visit it and feed it things and play with it. Over down here, there's a shop where you can buy toys and baby food and whatnot to play with your dragon as it's a baby. So here there's baby food. I think that's a rattle and rubber ball and whatnot. If the cursor moves around, that's just because my controller is a little wonky if I don't hold it steady, and I get a little nervous when I'm doing videos. So you buy those toys and food and whatnot to play with your dragon, and that'll raise some stats or attributes when it's a baby. And then eventually, once it gets big enough, you can start taking it along with you and using it in battle. I'm going to go over to the inn here, because the inn is where you can see all your dragon stats. It's also how you save the game. When you reset an inn, it automatically saves. So I'll rest here. And this is your dragon stats. So you can see the dragon's level 33, weighs about 2,500 kilograms. It's 45 meters tall. The picture is just the foot because it's so big. When it's smaller, you can see more of the dragon, but eventually it keeps growing bigger. So the stats, it's got HP, strength, 255, AC, I assume is armor, that's your defense. And so HP, strength, and armor are the only stats that actually affect how well you perform in battle. The other stats are just related to what personality it's going to turn into. So I assume, I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I assume they're dexterity, intelligence, bravery, compassion, morality, and luck, I guess. So all of those, except compassion, I think are just for determining what personality it turns into. And I'll explain how they're raised a little bit later. But compassion is unique in that it determines how likely your dragon is to obey your commands in battle. And you raise this stat by playing the flute. So right now it's at 60. But I'm going to go out and play the flute. now it should be maxed out again. Each time you enter a battle, your compassion will go down by 1 point. Might be only if you fight, actually, I'm not entirely sure. But now it's at 63, which is the maximum. So, when you're exploring and fighting battles, you should play the flute once in a while to make sure your dragon still obeys you. I believe the other, like, what the dragon will do if it doesn't behave you, if it doesn't listen to your commands, is based on the personality type. So some dragons will be more timid or more aggressive. But ultimately it doesn't really matter, because you can beat the game with any dragon type. It's just like role-playing. So right now I'm looking for the blacksmith. Yep. Oh, so look at the stats here. The human character doesn't actually level up in this game. So you have HP, strength, and defense, which are all determined by your equipment. Well, actually, I think HP is not, but strength and defense is determined by your equipment. And some equipment you can buy, some you find, but the best stuff you actually forge in a blacksmith, like I have, like here. So if I ask him to make a weapon, these are the materials, the forging materials that I have. So I select, for example, fire dragon scales, and I can make a fire dragon shield with 24 scales and 14,500 rupees, or the fire dragon armor with 54 scales and 34,000 rupees. So there's different forging materials, and some of these you'll find in chests, but a lot of them you can only get as drops from defeating monsters. So the fire dragon scales, for example, drop from fire dragons, believe it or not. And so I fought a whole bunch of fire dragons to get a fire dragon shield earlier. If I remember correctly, in order to get drops from enemies, you have to not eat the monster. At the end of battle, you can feed the monster to your dragon or to your human character, which will restore some HP, and for the dragon it'll raise certain attributes like bravery or intelligence or whatever. It's different depending on the enemy, but I'm pretty sure if you want to get the loot, you have to not eat them. So potentially a lot of farming if you're into that. It's kind of neat that there is a forging system in a Famicom game. It's not really very dynamic, but pretty cool. I'm just looking at my notes right now to see what else I wanted to show. This is the loan bank. If you're really desperate for money, you can get a loan here, up to 5,000 rupees. And you can see this person is clearly guarding something back here. So now I'm going to show off another aspect of this game, which is the ability to do morally questionable things. So you can attack any person in the game. I'm going to attack this person here. It looked like they were a woman, but apparently they're a man with glasses. That's just the way it goes sometimes. And then I can get in here and steal 15,000 rupees. So it's up to you if you want to do that. There's a lot of good items you can get by, killing people and just generally being a bad person. But that's going to affect your dragon. Your dragon will observe you, and it'll affect their morality and whatnot, and then they might develop into a different type of personality. So those kind of aspects are what I find really interesting about this game. There's a lot more role-playing than you find in a lot of Japanese RPGs, especially back on the Famicom. And some of the other NPCs in the game will be bad towards you as well. Like some shop vendors will scam you out of money, so you should be careful when you're looking at their prices. There's a certain inn where if you stay there, somebody will steal your money during the night. So it's kind of neat that the world isn't so much there for your convenience as it is for the role-playing. It really feels fleshed out a lot more than other Famicom games. Here's a cow. This game has a lot of Hinduism themes to it, which is partly where the morality stuff comes in, and cows are sacred animals in Hinduism, so it's not recommended that you fight them. But got Ushi no Kimo. So, here. And yeah, I'm gonna reset because I don't want to save that. Let's see. I'll show the overworld. So from the start of the game, the world is pretty much completely open. You've got this central town here. You start a little bit more over to the west, and you hang out here for a while until your dragon's big enough to go along with you in battle. But from that point on, the world is totally open. There's a few different towns scattered around the world, but you're free to go to them in whatever order you want. In the manual, they actually included a map of the world, so if you're going to play this game, I recommend you look up scans of the manual, or try to find an image of the world map online somewhere, because otherwise you can get pretty lost, and it is really useful to see where the towns are to give you some sense of direction. I'll talk a little bit about the battle system. The enemies here are all really weak, so it's going to be pretty simple, but so you can start by giving a command to the human character, and then to your dragon. Your dragon has 4 different attacks. As far as I can tell, these 3 are just the same. They're just like a basic attack, but the last one is a breath attack, and the breath attack consumes a certain percentage of the dragon's HP, and it hits multiple times. So I'll use that in this fight. There's the breath attack. You can see it consumes some HP, but it hits a few times. And at the end of battle, you can choose what enemies you want to feed to the dragon, and that'll raise some of the dragon's HP. Not permanently, but it restores some HP, and it raises certain attributes depending on what type of monster you ate. You can also feed monsters to your human character, although it doesn't raise any attributes, it just restores some HP when you're exploring. It's a pretty basic battle system. Oh, I should mention, you can also bribe enemies with items, although I didn't actually use this feature much, so I'm not sure how useful it is. But it's something that's in the game. You can run away, of course, use items, defend. But a really basic battle system. It gets kind of repetitive, especially if you're farming for forging materials. Yep. Oh, I should mention, I'm pretty sure that for your dragon to gain experience, they have to eat the monsters. That's the only way they actually get experience. Pretty high encounter rate. The encounter rate depends on what type of tile you're walking on. So grass is relatively low, but if you're walking on the mountains or the forest, you're going to encounter more monsters. I'm following this river because it goes somewhere in a little bit. There are some dungeons and quests in this game. Oftentimes it's kind of hard to know where to go and what to do. There are a lot of NPCs who will give you hints, so you should talk to everybody and take notes. I took a lot of notes when I was playing. I've got my notebook out here. I wouldn't really blame you for looking up a walkthrough if that's your thing, because the game doesn't really give you a lot of direction, and it's really easy to potentially go sort of off track and run into really strong monsters and die, because the world map is so open. Anyway, here is a noodle shop. So you can buy some tempura and whatnot. But the main purpose of these places is the bathroom. So what do we do in the bathroom? Well, there's a toilet, and this, believe it or not, is the fast travel system of the game. You can choose to go to one of 4 different areas. Cost 100 rupees. We go through the toilet. And now we're somewhere else. So that's pretty convenient for getting around, because the map is rather big, and if you're trying to get from one side of the map to another, it's nice to have that. I think that's about all I wanted to show with this game. It's pretty unique, and the role-playing aspects of it are I think, surprisingly, I don't know if I'd say well done, but there's certainly more role-playing to it than there is in most Japanese role-playing games. It's really neat to see how your dragon develops depending on what things you do. I think the foraging system is kind of interesting for a game of this time, even if it's really simple. And it's just a really unique experience. There's nothing else like this. I do wish that there was more to the combat, but it's neat. It's neat, and the overworld theme is really good. So yeah, that's about it. And if this sounds like your kind of game, I recommend you check it out. It's definitely a game worth experiencing, even if it's not amazing. Very, very memorable. And I'm glad that developers were willing to experiment and try something so different like this. I mean, how many games do you raise a dragon and from a baby to an adult and whatnot? And I'm rambling, so I'll just shut up. Thanks for watching.